Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. We're not just looking at some simple, everyday folktale today. We are unpacking a seriously rich, complex origin myth about a powerful society, that inevitable clash between tradition and progress, and what it truly fundamentally means to belong. Once upon a time, in a far-off place, there was a beautiful village called Musudugu. Now, imagine a world where everything is just meticulously balanced, endlessly peaceful, fiercely protected. It kind of makes you wonder, right? What kind of mind does it take to look around at an absolute perfect paradise and ask, why? Our story kicks off in Musudugu, a place where only women lived. And these women, they were incredibly capable. They defended their borders with immense bravery against any men who dared try to conquer them. Their fierce patriotism actually earned them the protection of a deity known as the Virgin Girl, who was the daughter of the creator, Atala the Supreme. Under her protection, life in Musudugu was, well, a paradise. Their days were totally filled with singing, dancing, and, above all, sharing and caring. It was a beautiful ecosystem built entirely on complete mutual support. But, of course, this divine protection came with a catch. And it was one very strict, absolutely non-negotiable rule. Darkness must never cover a man in Musudugu. This wasn't just a polite guideline, guys. This was the sacred law of their land. So, how did they handle having kids? Well, the women were allowed to give birth to boys and nurse them. But the very moment a boy was old enough to stand up and use the bathroom without wetting his feet, he had to be sent away to live with his father. Now, the mothers obviously wept, but they accepted this incredible heartbreak because it was the heavy price they had to pay to maintain their utopia. There's a saying, though, a sweet taste in the mouth does not last forever. And when the creator, Atala the Supreme, wants to truly test a people, he doesn't send a massive foreign invading army. No, he sends a kinsman. He sends a disruptor from right inside the village walls.
Enter our disruptor, a girl named Kumba Kargbo. Kumba was completely different right from the start. She actually forced her way out of her mother's belly feet first, which in their culture immediately signaled her rebellious nature and fierce, fierce independence.
As she grew up, Kumba just began to question everything. She brilliantly turned their own farming logic against them, asking, when you plant a seed, does it stay a seed? No, it grows. So why do you want us to stay like unsprouted seeds? She absolutely demanded to learn new ways. She wanted to know why men were forbidden to stay after dark. And boom, we have a major clash. Kumba represents modern progress. She's the growing seed pushing for change. On the flip side, the village's council leader was completely furious with Kumba's questions. She demanded stagnation to keep the peace, and she leaned heavily on deep-rooted, natural metaphors to defend their ancient laws. The council leader fired back with this incredibly sharp warning about bringing men into the village. She told Kumba, men are like elephant grass in a vegetable garden. Think about it. If you don't pull out elephant grass, it acts as a hyper-aggressive invasive weed. It greedily sucks up all the water, all the sunlight, and the other fragile seedlings just die off. To the leader, men wouldn't just break a rule. They would literally choke out the delicate harmony of Musudugu. The leader then followed up with a pretty heavy ultimatum. She told Kumba she was entirely free to leave and see the world for herself. But she gave a warning. Knowledge is like a baobab tree. Only a fool cuts down her own tree to replace it with one from a neighboring village. You see, that baobab tree represents their cultural heritage. It casts a very specific, familiar, and protective shade over their village. The warning is clear. If you cut down your own history just to plant someone else's, the shade fundamentally changes, and the village you once knew and loved is just gone forever. Well, Kumba decided to do exactly that. She left Musudugu, she traveled for many, many years, tracking down the wisest people she could find and asking them her endless questions. And here's the wild part. The more she learned, the larger she physically grew, until her head literally reached up into the sky. But despite her massive size and all this accumulated knowledge, Kumba felt completely and utterly lost. She couldn't even remember who she was anymore. High up there in the clouds, she met Atala the Supreme, the creator. He gently explained that she had only gathered surface knowledge. She had collected a bunch of tools, sure, but she completely lacked deep, internal understanding. Atala broke it down for her with a beautiful analogy. He said, look, just owning a hoe, a plot of land, and some seedlings doesn't magically make you a farmer. It's truly understanding the labor, and crucially, watching that hard work bear fruit to physically feed your community. That's what transforms you into a real farmer. Then, Atala completely redefined the very concept of belonging for her. He taught her that home is not just some physical place or a coordinate on a map. To be at home is a profound state of knowing your true self, and then selflessly sharing that self with your community. And right there is Kumba's tragic flaw. It was her arrogance. The women of Musudugu fundamentally believed life was about seeing yourself as part of others and sharing their pain. By completely breaking away from her collective roots just to seek outside ways, she inadvertently set a devastating chain of events into motion. Because of this, our story ends on a deeply sad note. A haunting dirge, a song of mourning, is sung, lamenting that the perfect village of Musudugu has been destroyed. By breaking those sacred rules and relentlessly forcing her questions upon the village, Kumba accidentally brought about the absolute end of the harmony she once knew. So, I want to leave you with this final thought to really ponder. Is it better to preserve the peace of your own baobab tree, or risk absolutely everything to learn what lies beyond its shade? Progress almost always comes with a cost, and preservation requires sacrifice. Which path would you choose?